So we have not...
We haven't done anything. We've waited for you.
No, so nice. Thank you. All right, with apologies for being a few minutes late due to the MBTA, we'll begin the meeting at 7:15. Selectmen's meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. And I think the first order of business, we have Marianne McLeod from our Pipeline Advisory Committee here to speak to us.
Right.
Yes, please come right up. Thanks.
Okay. Well, as an explanation, I had originally planned on proposing an article for this upcoming special town meeting. An article, prohibiting the pipeline. And after discussion with several people and some groups, including the Stop the Pipeline people, I've decided that it would be best to hold off on that article until the spring meeting.
Okay.
And to do much more work consolidating our efforts.
Okay.
But at the same time, I did send in, an update on what we are doing, some of the research that I found out, with respect to this pipeline and where we want to go.
Well, we have, we certainly have 5 minutes in the agenda to talk about it. So as long as you're here and you've done that work, we'd love to hear about it.
Okay. Briefly put, Kinder Morgan has pre-filed with the FERC for a certificate to, approve the pipeline. And the reason for doing that is if they can get that certificate, it will be much more difficult to stop them. But research indicates that since the Halliburton loophole went into effect, the only pipelines that have been stopped because of citizen and environmental group protest, one lawsuit, and one refusal by the Supreme Court to hear a case. So that means that what we have to do is to really mount a citizen effort to, stop this pipeline. They want the pipeline for several reasons. There's a lot of natural gas coming out of the Marcellus Shale. They want the pipeline to be a storage facility for, all of this excess gas. They don't have enough pipeline. The pipelines interconnect with all of the other pipelines that lead out to export facilities. At least 40% of this gas is destined for export according to their own, financial prospectus. And if there's any unfortunate event on one segment of the pipeline, it's so constructed that they can just simply, shift it off to another segment to keep the
Gas flowing.
Gas flowing. Okay, so those are all of their reasons for this, and there may be others that we're not aware of. What we want to do is stop the pipeline. And I've been in correspondence and in contact with some of the other groups. Phil and I have attended some of the Bolton meetings. They're ahead of us in this effort.
How so?
They have a much larger group of citizen protesters. They're more organized than we are. They were the first to pass that resolution that this board also passed and Boylston subsequently passed. That resolution, while it has an impact, it's non-binding. It doesn't force the legislature.
We're well aware of that,
right.
Yes.
And the initial rationale for the warrant article is that it is binding. It forces you to do something. It forces the legislature to also do something, but it's too early at this point to go ahead with that because we'd be out there all by ourselves at this point. And in talking to the people, it seems like much better to get a whole group of towns on the same page, at the same time. It will have a much larger effect. So what I would like to suggest is that since the study committee's work is essentially done, I don't think there's a whole lot more research that we can find out about. I would like to propose that we segue the study committee into something similar to Bolton's, Stop the Pipeline Berlin chapter, and work on how to better present our case to stop this pipeline.
Mary Ann, how many Berlin citizens are active in this
Well,
group?
it's varied, you know, we've had half a dozen to 0, unfortunately. You know, and it would be nice if we could, you know, expand it and get more people involved in this. You know, there's no economic benefit for Berlin at all in any of this, 0. No economic benefit really for Massachusetts at all, essentially 0. Massachusetts does not have a lack of gas, really. They're making it seem as if there is a lack of fuel for heating purposes, etc., but that's not true. And, you know, so I'd like to segue into something like Stop the Pipeline Berlin chapter, you know, meet here in the town meeting rooms, you know, that would make it seem a lot more professional and a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, organized and meeting in someone's home. but-
Official.
Official, that's the right word. You know, but we do need your permission to do that. And of course, I would, you know, welcome your feedback on what we're doing.
Well, just to sort of recap what you were proposing, because a lot of people will be listening to this and everything, and what you had proposed, but decided at this point to put off until the annual town meeting, is a petition to the Massachusetts General Court to enact a state law to prohibit the construction of any and all natural gas pipelines in the town of Berlin.
Right,
So a state law that would prohibit it in the town of Berlin.
right.
Is what
Each
you're
town has to do their own
Mhm.
town.
Mhm. And the model for this came from?
I basically, you know, invented it.
Okay.
And the Article 97 portion is there because it's my understanding that Kinder Morgan is trying to get legislation through, you know, they're working on it now, to turn Article 97 into meaningless jargon. You know, because Article 97 should be prohibiting Kinder Morgan from laying any pipeline in any conservation land.
Mhm.
And every town has got pipeline through conservation land. So that's the rationale for including, you know, the tenets of Article 97.
Yeah, and of course, we'd spoken before that there's already state law that suggests that eminent domain can't be used to put a pipeline through conservation land
but
or
Kinder-
parks and so on.
Right, but Kinder Morgan is trying to change that.
And that's not Article 97,
No,
that's
that's not
just the state
Article
law.
97.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I think that I would also say that I think it's good. It's probably good to take a little more time at this point, but I also think we should probably not try to put all our eggs in one basket and work on if in fact that state law has effect, if it's being if it's in fact being sought to being amended and so on, we could conceivably take some action on that score. We should probably also investigate the possibility of a purely local bylaw.
Right. Yeah, right. I had written
So there are a number, certainly a number of things that can
that can be done.
looked at.
And they're all possible. I mean, way back when, I had sent it to you, Walter, that, local ordinance prohibiting, and I had gotten that from some groups that have already passed such an ordinance in their towns. And I'd altered it to
What town, do you know of a town that has passed it?
There's several in New Hampshire. Hollis, I think, there's, I can find out for you.
That'd be, if you just, if you come
Yeah,
across
some
it and
towns
can
have
dig that
passed
out,
it.
that might be helpful.
There is a lot of action going on at much higher levels,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you're aware. I mean, both senators
Oh, yes.
are against it. There's another pipeline coming in from another direction.
That's
So
right.
there's
Did
the
you-
governor's backing off on his original approval of it, and the legislators all along the lines are working against it, so.
Did you see the group that came out that is like Kinder Morgan fronted the guy? They sent out flyers. It's like the group to lower energy prices, and it's
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
it's got a Kinder Morgan
Right.
Oh, yes.
lobbyist as a front in it.
Oh, yes, no, and this
So, yeah.
increase in electricity prices is all geared to making the public think that the pipeline is a necessary,
Evil.
Mhm.
yes, necessary evil. So there's a lot going on, you know, and you can only do what we can do, but it just seems to me that, you know, all of us doing something, the whole is greater than
In a couple of weeks, as you know, the Bolton's gonna have another meeting, so let you and I go over
Yeah,
there. We'll get some other
November
people in town.
Another meeting with
Well,
Morgan
yeah,
or just?
no, the
among
Bolton
them?
committee, they've really done a lot of
Yeah, they're
legwork.
doing-
They've got a
right.
lot of facts and
Can we,
figures. And
can we join in with them and just become like
that's
a-
what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah,
Why
well-
not, we're Bolton, Berlin would be a fine group.
Right, you know, I did attend the last meeting, Phil and I went, and, you know, my task is to come up with something is how can the three towns that have passed the resolution, the three Bs, Berlin, Bolton, and Boylston, work together, you know,
Yeah.
to, further this stop the pipeline effort.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
You know, and it might be, you know, we don't know how we're gonna do it yet, but we're at least exploring it, how we can all work together. And it might be that there needs to be individual action in each town, as well as a cooperative effort.
Okay.
Well, thank
So-
you. Thank
So
you.
what I need to know is, can we meet here?
Yeah, they can, if there's a room available, they should be able to.
Yeah, I think you just, I don't know, check with Mary
Check with
earlier
Mary.
about
Yeah.
rooms.
And the group is now not the study committee.
I just for the time being, and because of using the room, I'd sort of like to keep you as an advisory committee for the next month or so, and you can use the room, and obviously you can talk about exactly the same things, you know. I would feel a little more comfortable opening up the room if they were still an advisory
Sure, that's,
committee.
Oh, yeah,
That's fine.
isn't that
Yeah.
what you want?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was talking about, moving
Well-
it into something that was, sort of more of
Oh.
a civic movement and so on,
Yeah.
and I
No.
just, so I think just in the short run,
Advisory,
I'd like to do that. We can,
Yep.
we can check
Right.
a more broad group, and, obviously, more, people to come, you still talk about the same
Right, we
things,
can
still
talk
do
about
the
the
same.
thing, you know, and I'll continue to keep you updated on
Okay.
what's going on.
All right. I know that, and I'm trying to stay on schedule, but I wonder if there is anybody else here who has a comment or whatever, who's here for this purpose.
So the same rules apply to the cross-state pipeline as do to the lateral? The interstate pipeline, I would imagine, has certain stronger regulation capability or
I think,
federal
I
back.
think, I can answer that, yeah, there are certainly different, standards, different rationales. It's an area of the law that has changed a fair amount over the last 25 years. 25 years ago, anything that ultimately connected to an interstate was considered, interstate commerce. I think there has been a trend, toward being able to view certain activities as, separable and completely within the state. So I think there is, a bit of a distinction in terms of the application of things. Yeah,
If the big
and I
one
don't
doesn't
take
go-
that to the bank or anything, but I mean, I think that it's certainly, there's generally a higher threshold and more involvement of the feds the closer you get to a major interstate activity.
But if the 30-inch one doesn't go through the lateral, it won't go
That
through
doesn't go
either.
through
Right.
either.
Right.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Mary Ann.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Okay. And with apologies for running a little bit behind schedule, we have the Agricultural Commission here with regard to a special town meeting article.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you a commission?
Yeah, we're a commission.
The Air Commission.
No, copy. the group is. Good evening.
Good evening.
Last time that we were here, you folks helped us fund for equipment that was stolen a second time. We certainly appreciate that. So where we stand today, with respect to the irrigation system at the community garden, the system consists of a solar panel, a pump, control panel, and 2 555-gallon tanks. And right now, we don't have a solar panel, nor do we have any security devices for when we reinstall all of those items in the springtime for next year's growing season.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we see it at the moment, we basically have 3 options. Option 1 would be do nothing, continue to rely on the highway department, who's been great this past summer, helping us fill the tanks when we didn't have the capability to do that, and ask them to do that all next summer on a weekly basis. And I think that would be inappropriate to impose that additional work on them, given they got, I'm sure, more important things to town to do. The next option would be to propose an article similar to what we've drafted here at the Maytown meeting. And if we did that, as you know, if it were approved at the Maytown meeting, we wouldn't have our funding until the 1st of July. By the time we placed the order, by the time we got the components, by the time it was installed,
Yeah.
we're 3/4 of the way through the growing season.
Sure.
So we're looking forward to that, to see how we can solve that problem.
So you would like to put this article on the special town meeting warrant?
Yes, we would.
Okay. And this is an article for the amount of $2,500 for the purpose of replacing the solar panel, installation of the solar panel, connection with the existing water pump, is that right?
Yes.
And the existing
Control panel.
control. Do you mind if I put connection with, just
That's
because
fine.
I think it's a little more
That's-
clear?
yeah. Like I said, it's a draft, so
yeah.
there's no part about it.
Okay.
That's gonna cover the panel
Well-
and the alarm system and everything?
As well as,
I got an estimate, I'll show it to you.
as well as the purchase and installation of security devices to protect the components, which I
Yes,
think
it
is
will.
very, it's obviously very important at this time of year. You guys are getting frustrated with it, and I think it's reasonable to take those steps given the history. So,
Instead of going into detail on the security measures, given that they're being televised and everything, I have an estimate from Ed Marchand, who summarizes those devices and other things. Now, when you see this, all right, the estimate he has, okay, I rounded it up by almost $500, and let me tell you why I did that, okay? We're scheduled to meet with him on November 12th. Okay? I got this at almost 5 o'clock this evening, okay? Yes, I've asked him some preliminary questions, but we haven't had a chance to sit down with them as a group,
Mhm.
okay, and go over all the details, make sure everything's covered that we need to get covered, okay? So if there's something overlooked, okay, we have a little bit of margin here to include that.
so that 2,500 is
Here's his
is
estimate.
grossed up, as you just indicated by about, okay.
Here's his estimate, okay? So when we get to the town meeting, if we determine that we don't need the 2,500, we'll make an adjustment at that time and, either go with his estimate
Okay.
or something in that range.
Then what I'd suggest is that we then reword this to say, transfer from available funds or otherwise provide a sum not to exceed $2,500.
Okay?
And I'm marking this up as we're talking. I'll let you take a look at it before. Okay. And I think that's fine. If you're comfortable with that, you just said that you just got it
Yeah.
at 5 p.m.
Right.
Given the fact that this will be a not to exceed, if
I
you.
understand.
Okay. If you're comfortable with that, what we
Like,
can't,
his estimate
what we
is-
can't do at the
is
special
change.
town meeting floor is go above that.
I
We can
understand
always
that.
reduce that, so.
I was informed of that earlier, so
Yep,
I
okay.
appreciate
Well,
the thought. So his
we
estimate is
repeat ourselves.
Right, his estimate is $2,030, so we put a little bit more on top of that,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
To cover any potential,
Okay.
okay?
Yep. I would make a motion to accept this article at the request of the Agricultural Commission.
Second.
So moved.
Well, you made the motion.
I guess, yeah.
So
I
I know
think,
it.
yes, sorry.
She said I made the motion.
Yes,
I think
would
it's all
accept the
worked,
motion.
Bill.
I think we've worked it out. And can go to a vote, unless there's any further
No
discussion
further
or question.
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate
Okay,
it.
so those will be the markups that we do, okay?
Okay, all right. Just
I already put in the
note
draft warrant, and I've just put the, just not to exceed.
No, he's got one more here.
Okay.
I'll hand that to you in a second. I'll just
Okay.
make a note myself.
It's interconnection to the existing pipe, because the way it was
All right.
written, it seemed like it was to pay for the existing pump and so on, okay?
Okay.
No problem. Oops, sorry. Huh?
There, you done?
Very good. You have
Thank you
anything?
very much. No, no, you,
Take that, Matt.
yep.
No, I have a question.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
later,
Good
Carl.
evening.
You have a question about?
See, it's all harrowed down there and prepared for next spring.
Yes, we got the
Winter weed in there,
ryegrass
in
is
it.
down and everything.
Great.
Thank you, folks.
Do we have people here in the audience for the appointment of Benjamin Lima and Jonathan Polnio to the rescue squad?
Benjamin is here.
Okay. How long do we expect the Energy Committee thing to run?
Are you our Hampshire council?
That's correct.
Half an hour? How long?
Half an hour, 15 minutes, if you want the Reader's Digest version, a half an hour fine. I also understand that folks want to talk about Hampshire Power and Hampshire IT, so.
Okay.
And you guys are here for the same thing?
No, there's an agenda item about the channel changeovers for access. Do we want to put in a letter of complaint to Charter?
How long do you think? I just want to, rather than keep
2
people
minutes.
here, if we can get like 2 things done in 5 minutes, do you mind if we're gonna?
Not at all.
I used to-
I used to be a selectman, I understand.
All right.
And make the appointments rather quickly.
All right, do you want to do the appointments real quick? All right. And the appointments are not in the appointment file, right?
No, that's correct. That is not, that's right.
All right. I would accept a motion to appoint Benjamin Lilma of Berlin.
Yep.
And Jonathan Polnio of Hudson as rescue squad members / EMTs.
So move.
Second.
I did that right this time.
Threw me off last
No,
time.
no, that's what happens when
I follow you, you know.
Yeah, no, when I run in from the train 15 minutes late, it takes
I
me
know,
by
it's,
my stride.
it's tough. yeah.
Anyway, Benjamin,
Yep.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
You want to tell us how long you've been in Berlin, or?
Yes, sir. Moved here 3 years ago from Northborough, and got my EMT recently, and graduated the Reserve Police Academy, so I have first responder too.
Great.
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 Yep.
That's wonderful. I'm always thankful for those who serve us who are out of the town, but I always really like the idea when there's somebody from in town who's serving on these. So.
Any way I can contribute, so it's it's a privilege. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Denny stopped by the house today, he mentioned that you were all right.
Yeah. Hope so. Hope so.
Very good.
I didn't discourage him.
You have any comments, questions?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll take a vote, and the vote will be on both of those appointments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Congratulations, sir.
You. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Come on up.
Now I can say welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Which I always
Thank
say
you.
at the
Thanks
front.
again.
Welcome aboard. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take it easy. Yeah.
Take care.
And you want 4 or 5 minutes? Is that what
Yeah.
it'll take? Okay. Have-
I didn't know that this was actually on the agenda till I came down to tape the meeting, so having seen that, figured I'd stick around and we can discuss this. As you know, there's
Which
been...
item we would,
Thanks.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
It's on there.
This is item 13, discussion of a letter to Charter Communications regarding
Yep.
the move
Yep.
of PEG, public access
Yep.
channels.
So, I mean, it's kind of a moot point at this point. It's done and.
I think we're what, on channel
192.
10,342, is that?
193 and 194. They didn't put us consecutive because they put Worcester at 193.
So we're like, okay.
Now, I mean, our display, a lot of people have been confused by this, and I think Charter should really understand that, more than, a letter to the access centers is in order when they're making such a major change. Registered letters, things got missed, some of it's our fault. They should have taken care of access centers knowing that they would need set-top boxes, etc. Every access center I've talked to is similarly been underwhelmed by Charter's performance.
So this is access box treatment and the movement of the channels we're talking about.
I guess yeah.
Yeah, okay, just,
Yeah, so.
just for the home audience, so I know they can follow what we're talking
Right.
about, yes.
I mean, I think the home audience is most concerned about, being lost, not knowing where channels were for a while,
Mhm.
and having to find them.
Mm-hmm.
That portion of the agreement with Charter comes under the license, which is handled by Cable Advisory.
Yep.
And so I can let them speak for themselves, but my opinion would be that we should put in a letter of complaint and just express our displeasure. I can help Mary. I mean, we've kind of formulated that in some email discussions.
If you would like to work with Mary and put one on the agenda, I think
Okay.
very pleased to consider it, right?
I would like,
Oh,
Cable-
yeah.
I would like Cable Advisory, though, to weigh in on
Yeah,
whether we should do this or not.
that's wise too. Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Luckily, there's someone from Cable Advisory.
What?
Oh, yeah, but.
I was just here with my son.
You guys are routine,
No,
that was a
no.
good setup.
This just come up in the last week.
Yep.
Bill expressed a concern with the channel number change. There was an issue with the set-top boxes, but, an email to the Tom Cohen from Charter, I think resolved that. By contract, and again, this is just me trying to answer some questions. We have not had a Cable Advisory Board meeting or any sort of vote on resolutions or letters or anything.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to help bridge the gap here. The town by contract is entitled to one connection at each town facility. Based on a written list provided by the issuing authority, which would be the Selectmen. So if we request that, the police department, fire department, town offices, and whatever other buildings in town required, I think that they've shown and demonstrated a willingness to provide those set-top boxes to us
Okay.
free of charge with no monthly fees. I think it's up to us just to formulate that, and Mary's been very helpful in polling the department heads on what's necessary.
So that, in that case, and with respect to that issue, it would simply be a letter listing the facilities and requesting what appears to be, an agreed result that we will get
Yes.
set-top boxes for those
They've
locations.
been
Okay.
very helpful with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The-
so that's that piece, and then,
As far as the channel numbering change, I think there's a question of, are we asking it to be restored to the original numbers, or are we saying, please make a more expressed communication directly to the folks who are managing those facilities before you do it again?
Yes. Both of the above. I mean,
Well, and-
if possible, there is no technological reason that they can't be on the original channel numbers. Charter has admitted that to Groton Cable Access.
Worcester was very upset.
And,
yeah, sure, in bigger towns,
so-
bigger problem, yeah.
I mean, it's nice having it
Yeah.
down in the low digits, not up in,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, if it is possible to restore it, I think we could ask to restore it.
We can ask. That's-
Yeah, and if they don't restore it, we can I think it's basically grumping about it, but, you know, unless you grump at the counterparty, they don't realize that they've made you grumpy. So, yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all.
I'll draft a letter, Mary, and send it to you.
Send it to everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, my son's here for a scout merit badge thing. That was
Ah.
fun. Got a little ambush here.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's excellent. And yours also means you're not gonna get out of here so quickly, right? So- All right.
You guys can come and sit up on a chair here. In front of the class.
And then I think we have a meeting here between our Energy Committee and representatives of the Hampshire Council of Governments. Again, apologies, we're running about 15 minutes late. Ms. Booman, may I ask you to run this portion of the meeting?
Sure.
Since you are much more familiar with this than I am.
Well, Eloise and I, a year ago, went to a presentation by Hampshire Council on Governments at the Central Mass Regional Planning in Worcester. And they talked about, they sell electricity and they also aggregate it. You can have your whole town turned into a National Grid / Hampshire Council on Government town. So, please, come forward.
Okay,
You'll do a better job than me.
I don't want to turn my back on the, I have my choice of turning my back on the camera, turning my back on the Energy Committee, so I think I'll
You can
Yeah.
come in that
sit
corner.
over in
Just
the
turn your
corner
back on
if I
me.
can.
Yeah.
Just don't turn your back to us.
My name is Bernie Kubiak. I'm a regional services consultant with the Hampshire Council of Governments. And just by way of introduction, I've got almost 40 years as a public administrator, more than 20 as in Mass municipal government, as a selectman, as a town administrator. I retired as a town administrator, so it is possible to do that. And when I retired,
Can you retire as a selectman?
no, that's an ongoing, you know, it's too bad you guys don't get merit badges, because you probably, good conduct medals or something. I could have appreciated one. At my retirement party, my son said to me, Dad, I'm gonna give you a year and you'll be back working again. Well, he was right. So I'm doing this as, with the Hampshire Council. For folks watching at home, for folks who don't know about the Hampshire Council of Governments, we were formed in 1998 as a response to the governor's initiative to eliminate not all but some county government in the Commonwealth. There are two councils of government, not surprisingly, both out in Western Mass, Franklin Regional and Hampshire. The Hampshire Council of Governments is an interesting organization because when we wrote the charter, and I was part of that way back when, we're a volunteer government. You get to join us, and you get to leave if you don't like it. We have 15-member communities, and we also, in our charter, which was passed in 1998, wrote into the charter that we could offer programs and services to any public entity in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So that gives us the authority to sit here and offer you the opportunity to become part of a municipal aggregation program. Back in 1997, I had written in my notes at the turn of the last century, electricity supplies were deregulated. In other words, suppliers now became independent. And folks out on the Cape took advantage of this and formed Cape Light, which was the first aggregation in the Commonwealth. Since then, there's been some individual communities that have formed municipal aggregations. The Hampshire Council of Governments is attempting the first large-scale municipal aggregation of multiple communities. What that means is that we, the Council of Governments, will purchase electricity on your behalf and sell it to you at a discount. The discount could be, we're hoping will be substantial. We can give you a range. I can say it's somewhere between 10 and 15% would be a good ballpark figure. If you look at your electric bill, you see it's in segments. The first piece of it is for that last mile. You pay National Grid to get the electrons to your house. That won't change. National Grid will still be responsible for that network getting those electrons to your house. If anything breaks, if anything happens, if there's a disaster, National Grid, which we pay for, we all do. I pay with MECO, you pay National Grid. Your electric bills pay to have that last mile maintained. What would change is instead of buying your electrons from National Grid, you would be buying them through the Hampshire Municipal Aggregation Project, which would result in a discount. And how much, again, depends on the market, and how much, again, depends on how much electricity you use. To date, we have 39 communities committed to join the aggregation. It's over 150,000 people. So that gives us a lot of buying power. And we've been able, through Hampshire Power, which is our broker business, if you will, we've been able to achieve some substantial discounts over National Grid and Western Mass Electric. We just had in the last week, Hartwick and Charlton town meetings agreed to let us negotiate with the select board around an aggregation agreement. And in Worcester County, we've got Berry, Brookfield, East Brookfield, Minden, New Braintree, North Brookfield, Upton, and West Brookfield. So we really literally range from Great Barrington and the Berkshires, and I think Berlin would probably be our eastern outpost in terms of this aggregation. How this works is we need to get town meeting, according to this Mass General Law allows us for town meeting to say, okay, we agree that the select board can negotiate an aggregation agreement with the Hampshire Council of Governments. And we would then sit down with the select board and negotiate that out. For the town, there would be no cost. We do all the work. Because what the select board would be doing is negotiating and signing that contract. That's the extent of the town's expense and involvement. We would notify all the ratepayers. We would, as part of that negotiation with the select board, work out educational activities in the town. And every town has different ways of communicating. Every town has their preferred ways of communicating, so that everybody knows what's happening in terms of us becoming a supplier. Just did this with the town, with the city of Lowell, so we can do this. There'll be an 800 number for anyone who has a question about their electric supply bill to call our office in Northampton. What this does is it gives the town, at no cost to the ratepayers, at no cost to the community, an ability to buy electricity as a larger part of a group at a discount. It keeps some money in your pocket. And there's the big push around solar and energy conservation in the Commonwealth over the last couple of years is, yes, we're trying to reduce electricity and energy use. That's a good thing overall, but over 80% of our electricity is produced somewhere out of state, and it's in fact imported, and that money goes out. So if we can cut back on our usage through conservation, and if we can reduce our price through aggregation, we keep some of that money at home. Nobody's going to take a long vacation in Costa Rica or in Hawaii on the money they save on their electric bill in this program. But there's additive value in small numbers, and $100 to $150, $200 over the course of a year is helpful. Certainly helpful to me. So that's the idea behind the aggregation program. We're in the process of getting a license from the Commonwealth. We're hoping that our licensing will be wrapped up by the end of this calendar year, and that we can actually start the electrons flowing. The other piece, which I understand you want me to talk about, is Hampshire Power. I can leave you a brochure on that because I know you're pressed for time. But Hampshire Power is a broker. We buy energy and then resell it to municipalities, to districts, and the like. So we have about 80 consumers, the last number that's in my head, of Hampshire Power, most recently a 10 community consortium, an aggregation in the Berkshires, chose Hampshire Power as a supplier, as has Marlborough and Lowell and Lancaster. Lancaster has an interesting situation. They have they have some solar power they use to provide energy, and they buy what they can't provide, what they can't make, they buy through Hampshire Power. So that's the situation. Now, if the board is interested and you choose to put this on the town meeting, we will provide the town meeting members with informational literature. If you have a warrant review process, we'll be part of that warrant. We'll show for that warrant review process. We'll certainly make an appearance at your town meeting. Ken Elstein, who's a selectman in Belchertown, he's at a selectmen's meeting tonight. I used to be a selectman in Belchertown. That's a coincidence. We're going to be in Northbridge tomorrow night at their town meeting to make a presentation, and it looks very favorable in Northbridge. So that's the sort of the Reader's Digest version of what we do with the aggregation and what we do with Hampshire Power. If the town's interested in Hampshire Power, I would suggest that the board have a lead person, whether it's your administrator or a staff member, contact our Hampshire Power person and talk about how you get some estimates, because there is a process. We'll need to see some electric bills. We'll need to see what the town's usage, and we'll be able at that point to tell you what kind of discounts you can expect. I was town administrator in Deerfield, and over the time that we were part of Hampshire Power, I averaged 13% reduction in our electric bills through Hampshire Power, which I think is a nice number.
Yeah.
So the two pieces he talks about is buying power for just the municipal buildings from Hampshire Power, or the aggregate is that the entire town would, and then I can't remember, either default to Hampshire Power
Yes.
or
All the homeowners, there's
You
really
would have to-
there's really two pieces. So the municipal aggregation involves the homeowners, Hampshire Power involves the town itself.
right.
So,
The town government.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me, you mentioned the CMRPC. Here's a letter from the executive director endorsing that. This board, thank you.
What is the electric mix from? Nuclear and?
Well,
Wind?
we try to do, as much green as we can, but we buy through ISO New England the same as anyone else does. You can, if you choose, negotiate an agreement to buy only green power. Are the members of the, who are the members of the? Give you these. Now there's additional, okay.
So the part that involves town meeting is if we aggregate.
Correct.
Yes. And if you vote, I know you have a special town meeting coming up. I don't know if you want to do that at a special, if you want to reserve that for an annual meeting. Town's very in that approach. We will provide you with the appropriately worded warrant articles reviewed by our attorneys. It's also been reviewed by certain other municipal attorneys. So it's not just our lawyer who's looked at it.
Is aggregation require the same procurement laws?
No, because, let me put it, I should back up just a half a second. I spoke a little too quickly. Because you're dealing with the government. This is government to government. We can do this at arm's length on a handshake. We can negotiate things out. If you were to do this with a private for-profit corporation, and there are some around, you would have to go through procurement. Now, whether that's 30, B, or 25, I don't know.
And this is the aggregation.
This is the aggregation.
And is there any procurement impact on dealing with Hampshire Power?
No,
or
again, because we're a government. So let me give you Anne Renee's business card. She's our Hampshire Power person.
Okay.
Dancing around here.
How much?
What's electric bill for the town a year,
About
roughly?
675,000 kilowatt hours, if you include the schools.
And that runs to,
I don't know, I think it's like 16 cents a kilowatt.
Yeah, and it's likely to go up. If you
It
notice,
is.
It will be going up, and actually,
Yeah.
the proposal is anywhere from 50 to 95% increase from National Grid.
we said 600,000.
I think it's about 675,000 kilowatts. Does that sound right?
Well, the
line item is what, 50,000
For the town
for
offices.
electricity?
Wow.
And then the school. That includes the school,
Is the school buying power on its own, or is it buying through a
about
consortium?
100, so it's about 110,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between 100 and, that we spend,
Mhm.
including the school and electricity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the school's doing.
There's a number.
And that's at 16 cents a kilowatt.
Yes.
A number in the school land, I know in my chunk of the state, a number of the schools buy power through one or another of the regional consortiums, educational consortiums.
Okay.
So that might be, that might merit looking into. We would be more than happy to have your school included. One thing I would suggest is that when you go to look for electric bills, that you do a real thorough job of it. If you've got a sewer pumping station or something like that, those tend to get ignored, but they're,
Yeah, we don't
They're-
have one.
Yeah.
We're pretty simple.
the landfill usually has 25 watts a week or something like that, but to try to include all those.
Well, we're a green community, so we keep all our information on
Mass Energy Insight.
Mass
You have it all
Energy Insight.
on the dashboard.
Yeah, so it's all
Okay.
loaded right in there, so.
Okay, good.
That's how we
Great.
know.
Good. The green community process is an interesting one. I took Deerfield through that. We became a green community. We got a pretty substantial grant. Ended up doing an interesting project with the streetlights. We turned some off, which was not an easy thing to do. We turned some down, which was an easier thing to do, but then we also worked with Western Mass Electric to have a midnight shut-off. So the lights would go off at midnight and then come on just for around dawn and then just shut off again when the sun came up. We used some of our green community money to pay for those modifications.
That's
And
nice.
that's a substantial savings as well.
Yeah, that's great. How do people feel, well, first of all, let me ask the Energy Committee how they feel about these two issues, and most particularly thoughts about special town meeting, annual town meeting. I have my own thoughts, but I'm gonna let you guys talk first.
I have some follow-up questions.
Sure, absolutely.
So would the bill still be coming from National Grid, or would people
Yes.
get two separate
No,
bills?
no, National Grid does all day. The only thing that the average homeowner would notice is the supplier would be the Hampshire Council of Governments.
Okay.
And there would be an 800 number, which would be our number if they had a question about the supply. But that's the only change that they'd see. Now, homeowners have the ability to opt out at any time. You're not locked in. The way the legislation reads is that the contract is really with the town, to aggregate for the town. The individual homeowners in the town have the option of leaving at any time. So if an individual homeowner believes they can get a better deal from another supplier, or they just don't like the idea that they're buying electricity from a government, or whatever other reason, they can simply quit. And it's a question of,
what option does the town have if it turns out that they're not seeing the savings that were expected? Is there any sort of guarantee that there will be a savings, or?
our expectation is that there will be a savings, but that's part of the negotiation of the contract. And we would, I don't think we would hesitate to suspend the contract if we, at any point in time, didn't deliver savings to the homeowners. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this. When the Council of Government concept is really, again, it's a volunteer government, and it's aimed at working with other governments to save money and deliver efficiency in terms of services. So when you look at what we do, we are, unlike the other council of governments, we're not a regional planning agency. We receive no tax money. We have towns that are full members of the council pay dues that are based on their population size. But most of our budget comes from the programs we run, and we're competitive. We sell health insurance to the Hampshire Insurance Trust, and we're competitive with the GIC. In fact, I'd probably argue that we're better than the GIC in some ways. We have a purchasing program, and I can leave you some brochures on that. We have, the other thing that was mentioned was IT services. We have an information technology services contract. I'll leave you some information on that. We're trying to develop cloud storage at reasonable prices for communities. So this is how we stay alive. And we've been in the same spot since 1662. We own the building. We don't have to pay any rent. The overhead's low. And there are 4 of us total who work on these alternative projects.
So you said that there's also a green alternative, so I'm assuming that would be at a different price range.
Yeah, because
and
green
so that would
green
be
power is, and we had Lowell, I believe, is the first community to negotiate a 100% green energy.
We just had a solar farm put in here, but we didn't meet their minimum buying requirements. So so we're generating all kinds of solar here, and it's all being shipped out of town.
Right.
So I'm assuming with the size of your organization, you'd have more clout to be able to buy into solar farms.
Yes. We actually have some solar farms that we have helped to put together that we can buy power from. Again, that's an option that you want to negotiate and you want to look at it because it is price sensitive.
Right. And it's getting closer to net parity, but it's.
Yeah, we're open to that. The other thing that some communities have done is they've asked, when they've done their own aggregation, individual communities have put on a very small surcharge that then goes for energy conservation activities. And that's another prospect that you can do. I think Lancaster did that. Orlando Pacheco, who's no longer the administrator in Lancaster, he's gone on to greater things and more remuneration, did a great article in the Municipal Advocate on aggregation, solar, and the prospects for communities. I think I have a copy of it, which I can leave with the Energy Committee. I think I've got a spare copy. To give you some ideas of what might happen in terms of the mix.
What are the metrics that you use to demonstrate the savings? I mean, how do you know?
We benchmark is the utility price. So the benchmark would be, what is National Grid charging, and we'll tell you what we're charging versus what National Grid is charging. That's really what, and it's interesting because both the utilities, the 2 utilities we've dealt with, National Grid and Western Mass Electric, neither of them have any kind of real objections to us doing this because their focus and their funding, their money is really made off of us compensating them for keeping that network going, keeping the lines up and getting the electrons to our houses as opposed to selling the electrons themselves.
Is the rate, so the rate would be the same for every town that's in the system?
Well, unless there was an issue where you wanted an exclusive green contract, and
All right, I
then it
understand
might
that,
be more.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to try to. The idea of aggregating this is right now we're hoping at some point by the time our license is completed, to have over 200,000 people in the pool.
So what is the baseline now versus what you're getting?
We've not, in terms of the aggregation, we've not been able to put out any bids yet. We've not been able to make any purchases.
Because you have to get the license.
Because we have to get the license first. I can tell you from the experience that Hampshire Power had with the 10 towns in Berkshire County, the towns in Berkshire County are buying, to quote from the Berkshire Eagle, they're buying power at about 12.2 cents per kilowatt hour versus 16.1 with either National Grid or Wamego.
20%.
Yeah, that was a real good deal. And these are the 10 communities that formed their own aggregation, and then they went out to bid, and Hampshire Power was selected as their supplier.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I just have another follow-up question. Does this affect at all qualifying for any of the rebates that you get through National Grid?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
That would depend on National Grid.
Yeah, that would be very important.
That could be a deal.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, it may and it may not. I mean, National Grid is offering, if you're not if you're a National Grid customer because they've hooked up to you, and it's still, they're still getting pushed and promoted to reduce their generating capacity. It's in their best interest to reduce their generating capacity, so they may well go ahead and give those reductions. That's really up to them. I think the point that I think the one point that we don't know about, we need to research, is around agricultural discounts. Because some of the utilities do offer a discount to farmers. That discount would probably be affected if they signed on to Hampshire Power and the municipal aggregation. So they have the option at that point of saying, no, I don't want to do this, so they can keep the National Grid.
Right, but as a
discounts.
homeowner, I just got a check for $750 for getting a heat pump water heater.
Uh-huh.
So that's a nice chunk of change.
Right.
That,
See, but that's all funded by a surcharge on your electric bill, which you would still be getting. So I
okay, I
can't see
just
that
wanted
they
to
couldn't,
make, I want to make
yeah.
absolutely sure that doesn't affect it, but yeah.
Yeah, but the surcharge isn't gonna go away, because all you're doing is the,
All we're doing
The
is,
delivery,
yeah.
not the.
Yeah, that's the other
um,
piece of the bill, which is all the surcharges and
Yeah.
taxes and everything else. That's the third piece of the bill that's,
Right.
we can't impact. What we can do is we can get you power at the best possible price. And we can work with the community around, if the community chooses, work with the community around some leverage to get a funding stream for the Energy Committee or for conservation efforts. That's another possibility.
What about third-party suppliers? I know a lot of residents are already moving from National Grid to a third-party supplier.
Dominion or.
Yeah.
Well, again, they would have to opt out and keep.
So the question being, they'd automatically be enrolled, if you will, into Hampshire Power.
Right, but you can opt out. If you want to keep Dominion, you opt out.
So they would have to manually opt out, or because they're not with National Grid right now, that they.
They would get, everybody, all the ratepayers will get all the customers will get a notice, and at that point, they can respond that they want to stay with their current supplier. And they can do that at any point in the process.
Is there a cost?
No.
And given licensing and so on, what would the time frame be if just hypothetically we were to pass this on December 8th?
If you're going to pass that on December 8th, our hope would be that sometime in January, February, we could begin to do this. But right now, this is a unique project, and the regulatory agencies are being very careful. We have one more set, as far as I know, of DPU hearings coming up, and at that point, they should be able to write the license.
Does the Energy Committee feel that they would be in a position between now and next Monday to make a recommendation on this?
Without them having the license in hand, I don't see that happening.
Well, I would suggest to the town, because all the town meeting will be doing is saying to the select board, you now have the authority to negotiate this. That's all the town meeting will be doing.
And this,
So the
this
select
is
board-
only required if it's the homeowners are involved. This
That's
is not
correct.
required for the
Hampshire
town
Power.
to buy from
Right.
you.
Right, because again, there's no procurement issue because we're a government.
Right.
It's government to government purchasing. We also have a purchasing department that, you know, competes with our brethren in Boston, state purchasing.
I mean, my knee jerk at this time with this time frame says, you know, let the town do their thing
Mhm.
and
Yeah, have you guys even discussed this in a meeting?
very,
Without
very
specifics,
broadly.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
really my answer then, to that
Mhm.
recommendation, because you haven't discussed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if your preference is to put this on your annual meeting warrant, or if
That would
there's
be-
another
yeah, really
special
meant,
coming
yeah.
up, that's perfectly okay. You know, like I said, we'll be happy to provide you with the language for the warrant article. I think that, you know, again, what town meeting is doing is authorizing the selectmen to enter into negotiations. So at that point, the board can take its time. The board can say, well, you know, we'll sign this agreement after you start. We want to see, you know, let somebody else go first. Or the board can sign an agreement and say, you know, we'll jump in the pool ahead of time. So if you want to pick it up on the 8th, that's fine. If you want to wait till May, that's
I would
perfectly
just
okay.
assume that the Energy Committee spend a lot of time on this and think it all through and rely on them. You know,
Mhm.
it sounds good, everything, but
Okay.
you can look into all the details of it. We'll go from there.
It's,
Yeah, that's the way that's
Yeah.
the way I feel about it, that,
okay.
that's why we have these guys working on it, so.
That's perfectly fine. Again, you know, some towns like to do this at an annual town meeting because it does affect the, you know, you get a better
Entire
turnout.
town, yeah.
Mhm.
Other towns have done this in specials, and I'm a town meeting member in Amherst, we're always, it'll take 4 days to do anything.
I have a question from Mary. Does any of the power come from fracking?
Well, if you're buying power from a gas-fired plant, it may be.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
that one
yeah,
out.
That would be a hard one to really
Yeah.
figure out.
You can't tell because the gas is gas. I'm from Western New York. My hometown was, up until the 1930s, the largest oil storage. Had the largest oil storage facilities east of the Mississippi River. The pipelines, believe it or not, ran from Texas to Olean, then from Olean to Bayonne, New Jersey, and somebody got the bright idea that they could just build a deep water port in Austin, or in Texas, and move not in Austin, wouldn't want to put a port there. They built a deep water port in Texas and just pump the oil there, and that's when the bottom fell out. So the discussion about pipelines and energy and the like is in some way echoes for me because you know, this has been going on since 1855 in one way, manner, and form, and we haven't really come up with a good way of resolving it yet.
Okay.
Yep.
I would just mention that the warrant for the annual town meeting usually closes around Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we can provide the board,
Yeah.
if the board's intention, if the board so votes, to consider this for the annual town meeting, we will, whatever the board votes that, we will provide them with the language. And again, I'll be happy, or Ken Osteen, my colleague, will be happy to meet with the Energy Committee or to, you know, if you have a warrant review, and certainly on the night of the town meeting to be present, to provide information to the town. One of the items that's in the package that I handed out is a sample of the question and answer sheet that we gave out in Charlotte. So you can see the kind of information we give to town meetings.
Well, I think that we would very much appreciate the Energy Committee looking at this and looking at it perhaps in a time frame so that we could put an article on in mid-February. I think it probably would benefit from a couple of public presentations with anything that's affects everybody. I think benefits benefits from that and benefits from sort of repeated socialization as we come up to annual town meeting. And my concern would be we just don't have time to do that between now and December
I don't think you do.
That was my thinking that I referred to at the beginning. I wondered whether you had a recommendation or not.
I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's, that's fine.
And you would probably know by then if you'd be state approved, I would presume,
Oh,
by
yes,
Valentine's
yeah,
Day.
and we'd also, we'd know what the language is. We could have a good idea of what the Department of Public Utilities is gonna write into the license, but, you never know.
Yeah.
And the administration will be changing in January, and if the process goes beyond that, that's another variable. I will leave with the board and with Mary, all kinds of stuff, brochure on our IT services.
Great.
And a brochure on our cooperative purchasing. I did not bring any insurance information. If you'd like to know about health insurance, saw you that too.
Well, let's look at that stuff that we have. All right, thank you.
I'm not getting
So
into
let me leave these for you
Yep.
and my card. And I will give, the Energy Committee doesn't escape, I will leave them a copy of Mr. Pacheco's article and some contact information.
That's great. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being selected. It's not, I can tell you, it's not an easy job.
Maybe we have a 3 or 4 minute break and just do one bit of paperwork here.
Sure.
That's okay.
We're going to be taking just a very short break.
Kevin, how are you? I know you're
Mr.
very
Bickford
well.
is one of the selectmen.
What are you working?
What, did you get my text message? Or did my dad give me the wrong number?
I didn't see it if I did get it.
It's been a while.
I know.
No, like Chris got it.
Sure, Chris, C-H-R-S, last name's Oriel, O-R-I-E-L, Energy. Oh, yeah, dig it. I didn't see it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We're back in session and picking up on the agenda. Do we have any meeting minutes that we're ready to vote?
2 sets.
I know we have 2 sets. I'm asking if people are ready to vote
I
on
just
them.
got one set this morning.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
let's do it
All
next
right.
week.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
read them this week.
All right. And then we have approval of some bill schedules. Just a minute, I was flipping things around here to get to the appointments there. All right. We have approval of 2 bill schedules for our administrative secretary, a $4 reimbursement. Is this mileage or postage?
No, postage.
Okay. I'd accept a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I was sending the fire truck title up to New York.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, did he pay?
Oh, he paid first, yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, I need to go mark him paid then.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. A long time ago, more than a month ago.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the next one is the webmaster for $91, reimbursement for a Facebook feed and backup buddy. I would take a
So
motion.
move.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do the second signature on that? Oh, yeah, we probably do. You need a second signature on this one too? No. Yeah.
me, I can't sign for myself, so
Yeah.
there's 2 places.
Yep. Oh, 2, all right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. The next is the approval of, what is COA?
Council
Council on
Aging.
Aging.
Council of Aging Formula Grant for fiscal year 15. This is for $4,947.53.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
This is their standard grant that they
Yep.
get from the state.
Yep,
So it's just accepting the money.
yeah, basically.
I think we can do that.
Yeah, all right. So hearing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And just the one sheet on that, right, Mary?
Yes, that's correct.
We have a time off request from the town accountant. She would like to request Tuesday, November 25th through Friday, November 28th. And because she won't be out to Monday, it doesn't affect the warrants. Don't think we have any trouble with that, do we?
I don't, I would so
Okay.
move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Next, we have approval of the updated fiscal year 15 personnel classification spreadsheet. RE, the minimum wage law change, which affected some of the lower
Mm-hmm. Is that what we just signed a few minutes ago?
tiers. No. No, that was the police union.
Yeah.
So these are required changes because the change in the,
In the way.
Well, I think she updated it. Oh, that's one. I thought we already did this one.
You did the listing of town employees, but you did not do that. In the summer, you specifically deferred on that. There was like 3 changes to this at the end of the fiscal year. To take into account the hiring of the inspectional services clerk, to take into account the Board of Health clerk. But last time this was touched,
We talked about this though before, minimum wage. I thought we changed it because.
we did change, we didn't change this perhaps, which was the listing of employees, but we did change the. I thought we did
Minimum
change-
wage.
Yeah, we revised on July 14th of 2014, the actual salary and position
that's for the coming
charts.
year. That's for that's for 16.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you have there, that takes into account, as it's only a draft, that takes into account a 1.6 COLA if you were to go there. But that's just using what the CPI was that you just asked for.
Okay.
If you
All right,
flip back a
okay,
page,
okay,
though,
let's back up here
Yeah,
and let's
that-
find out what's on the agenda, okay?
So the first one
The
is.
first thing we have on the agenda is what?
that,
Which is,
you changed the spreadsheet a couple of months ago to take into account minimum wage, knocking all of the lowest levels to 999 for everybody.
yep,
And he didn't affect this yet, next year it'll hit that. So these are all 9.
yep,
As of, you did that earlier.
right.
You did not do this. She needs this from personnel, so this is selectmen acting in lieu of
This is just
personnel
us
committee.
applying to
Correct.
specific positions,
Yep.
what we had voted, okay,
So
that,
there's asterisks where
that's
it
what I understood.
it applies.
Yep, so basically anybody who
Library
had.
pages,
Yeah, I remember, it was
few.
very few. Maybe.
So
just
this
She
is
like-
needs
the,
that
this
too.
is the personnel committee vote.
This
then,
is a personnel committee vote.
Not a selectman vote.
I
Yep.
should have said that on the agenda.
Okay. So we're voting now as the Personnel Committee, and what we are doing is applying to the list of specific employees, confirming their step level and salary.
So now that inputs Julie.
Yeah,
as
I
the-
saw
you know
that.
what I
I'm
mean?
just, hang on. Bear
Those are
with
the
me.
changes.
Okay. Applying in fiscal year 15, the current fiscal year, the increase minimum wage, so, and it does appear to apply only to library pages. I don't see anybody else on here.
It puts names in for the two.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying that it applies only to library pages.
What to,
Moving them up from 828, 846 up to 9. And then we are also adding in here the new hire, which was a grade 5, step 3, which was Julie Pratt, the inspector and land use clerk. So those are
And the
two
Board of Health
changes.
clerk who's been hired
Oh, the Board of
Donna
Health clerk has been hired.
at her grade and step, which was to be determined for both of them before. And
Who
now
did they hire, Mary?
Her name's Donna Trailer.
From town?
I
Don't know.
think she is from town, but she also works in Lancaster the first 4 days of the week, and then she works here Friday.
Oh, yeah.
are election workers on there?
They're not,
Okay.
because Eloise can set that according to her budget, so they're actually not held necessarily to $9 an hour. So it says June.
I'm just curious about the senior thing.
Bear. Here. I don't actually see the Board of Health clerk on here. Yeah, please.
Board of Health, Donna Trailer.
Okay, okay, sorry, all right. And that was a grade 4, step 8, thank you. All right. So, are we ready to approve this list, which applies?
As long, you're the only one who's seen it, so,
Yeah, I mean-
as long as you think that it's correct, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, certainly, the Board of Health stuff is correct.
Well, the issue was only math. I mean, the minimum law, with the wage law was passed, and it was,
Yeah.
they were recalculated.
And these other two, I mean,
so-
I'm relying on, you know, as far as the
Right.
Board of Health clerk, I'm, you know, that's. Okay?
Can I just look at it for a minute?
Of course you
Board of
can.
Health clerk is one grade lower than the inspector land use.
Okay,
But the specific step for each one was to be determined based on their qualifications, and that updates it.
okay. And then, this is applying to CPI, but we don't have to take action on this tonight.
Yeah, you
Do
do,
you?
because we're having our
Budget package.
budget hearing next Monday night. So we need to hand out the letter at least and give them.
Well, I mean, I think we need to vote the 1.6 COLA, certainly, yep.
And I put a draft selectman letter in there, which would be contingent on whatever you vote on the COLA.
Okay.
I just figured I'd stop before I went home in case there were no questions on the article.
They haven't got to the draft agenda warrant yet, which I just put it on there, it's not even a separate item.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
whole bunch of articles that came in today, so.
Oh, gosh, wow. Well, you knew about both of mine anyway,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
And they're included now on the draft warrant.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Okay, so the next piece is really voting on the 1.6 COLA and a couple
Whatever, yeah.
questions on this chart.
You just need to fix that.
Oh, okay.
Do you think the math might be wrong on that?
No, I just,
There, you can vote on that.
okay,
The spreadsheet updated 1.6 for everybody. The only thing on that spreadsheet change, well, that's different, that's going ahead.
Yeah, let's vote on this.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna vote on the updated, individual listing, applying the salary, rate and grid to particular positions.
One other update was just to change a library page's name. There was a switch and.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
Okay,
Mhm.
I would accept a motion
Yeah, well,
to so
moved.
issue
Second.
the list. Okay, any further questions, discussions, comments?
what is this list used for?
June needs it to, she says she needs a directive from the personnel committee that is traditional. It dates back to Peg's days and beyond. A listing of employees by name, their grade and step.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions, comments?
You're confident, Judy, that the math is all right?
I didn't check.
That's
the
not
math.
adding, that's not actually coming up with their wages, but it would be grade and steps being
Who
right.
calculated that all out? Accountant?
99% of that remained exactly the same as before, but I
Okay.
checked with the department heads where there was a change. I
Yeah.
checked with the library to make sure I had the
Mhm.
pages' names right.
Okay,
And I knew the two clerks, grade and step.
okay,
And I do payroll for Julie. And Board of Health, I knew from their appointment letter, because you
Okay.
signed that as personnel committee. Those are
Okay.
really the only changes that were made.
okay, all right. Okay, any further comments?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll take a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I think on this next item, let's just vote on the letter, which is the COLA.
So, here, I had someone say to me that they would only be getting 1.6, while other contracts have been giving higher numbers.
But that's the thing.
Now, I would think that if you're on the chart, this one, you can get a step increase, which I think the one I calculated was like
Right.
2 something. But if you're the accountant, or any of these people down here that are salary, or
Yep.
elected, or hourly, then you're not on this chart.
No, you're not.
So I don't know if we want to say that you'd give them something that would be the equivalent to a COLA and a step increase?
Well, that's why some of those figures are higher. For instance, the police union figure was higher. That was a union contract.
Yes.
And, what was it, 3.5 and 3, which was, sort of a rough equivalence to COLAs and steps.
Yes, but what I'm saying is these people aren't gonna get steps because,
And each of those, the ones who report to us are the subject of, negotiation and contract. So I would say we should talk to each of them
well,
individually.
and so what are you gonna do with the people who aren't? Because we're giving recommendations in our letter about what people should put in. So.
I think what we're talking about is we're giving a recommendation for people who, tonight, for people who are on the chart, subject to steps and getting a COLA. We're not giving a recommendation tonight on contract, at least unless we have a further discussion, we wouldn't be giving a recommendation on individual contracts.
But these people don't have contracts. I mean, typically, they depend on what we say as a cost of living as to
Mhm.
what they're gonna put in.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you feel about that?
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
bringing
the
it
town
up because it
accountant,
was brought
for
up to
instance,
me.
the town accountant, we've made some adjustments just in the last year in terms of hours and salary and so on that have increased that. I think we need to think about this one and look at it on a case-by-case basis, because in each case, we've had conversations with virtually everybody on here. The highway superintendent, we've had conversations over the past 2 or 3 years as far as compensation for the fire chief. And with the town accountant.
Well, all I'm saying is, and that includes elected officials.
And elected officials, I don't necessarily think, I mean, I'd have to check because I'm not sure they're within our,
Well, they're not within
Purview.
our purview, but typically what we say is a cost of living is what they increase their salary by.
mhm.
So the fact that there are other people in the town that are getting more than 1.6%, I don't know if we want to change our letter and recommend that for people that are on the pay scale, the spreadsheet, it's 1.6, but if you're other than that, it's some other number.
I'd be prepared to say that if you're not, if you're salaried and not on the pay sheet, that should be subject to specific discussion.
Right.
I'm not ready to do a figure on those
Not
because
an
I say,
automatic raise.
some of those we've made in just the last year or two some really significant changes. So
I see.
I'd want to look at it on a case-by-case basis for people who are not on the chart. Elected officials, nobody's ever talked about that before. I would note that we are amongst those elected officials
And
who
we
have been.
always take what the cost of living is.
That's right,
then.
that's right.
Not all elected officials do necessarily. I don't think Eloise.
No, but I mean, my point is that if you're on the spreadsheet, you're gonna get more than if you're not on the spreadsheet.
Mhm. And again, I think with the salary, it's really apples and oranges. We have, in virtually all of those cases, we have had
Can I look at that?
recent discussions with people about their salary, where they report to us. I mean, witness, Larry, the conversation we've just
Right.
had.
Seems to be, not to just raise his name, kind of an outlier, because
Who?
Larry, nowhere in his contracts has it ever said he gets a salary. In his budget, it's budgeted as part-time wages. That seems to be a long simmering cause of confusion for people, just on his salary alone, or his pay.
Which one is that, Mary?
Larry.
Well, what would it be under a budget if it was, even if it's a salary,
It would
it
be
still goes
salary.
under part-time wages, because he's not a full-time employee.
We should look at that. I think the understanding was he is paid a salary and he's expected to have a certain number of hours. I mean, we've always viewed that as a salary.
Okay, and I can let the accountant know that, because that has been a long-running cause of confusion. Exactly
What was
why-
the confusion?
Whether he's hourly or salary.
That's the
because-
first I've heard of this
Yeah.
long-running
I
confusion,
haven't
so,
heard it either.
All
You all
right,
agree it's salary?
Yeah.
I don't, wait, let's,
Oh,
you
this
know
is
what?
a totally different subject.
That's a totally different
I just
subject.
raised
If we
it,
need to
but-
talk about that again, we'll talk about that again. Right now, let's get some order on this. First of all, a recommendation on the COLA for people who are on the charts. I would take a motion in favor of 1.6%, which is the September COLA, which is the number that we have traditionally
So
used.
move.
Second,
Okay. Any further comments or questions with regard to that?
no.
Okay. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Okay?
So those are just the people on the grid of the spreadsheet, not below the grid.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you remember, below the grid disappeared last year, Judy.
Yep,
It's back this year.
yep.
Okay. I
What's
would,
back this year, Mary?
Underneath the grid,
Yeah.
last year,
We took it off.
it came off. It's back on now because,
and I would point out that, I mean, even on this grid,
mhm.
the elected officials aren't there.
Now, I had put a draft on there that included the elected officials, and June said that they don't belong there.
And I don't think they do.
Okay, so they're not.
Yeah. And I mean, personally, I don't think, I really don't honestly think that,
She wanted those, that is what she wanted.
I understand that, but I don't think that they should be the subject of the same general vote that we have with respect to the grid, because as I say, I'd want to look at each of those, in each of those cases. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we have made various adjustments to that, and so I think those we need to look at on a case-by-case basis.
I think you need to put something in the letter and tell the people that are responsible for budgeting that
Okay, I think with respect to the town accountant, the fire chief, the highway superintendent, the EMS director, the rescue chief, the data systems coordinator, and the dog officer, that's a note to ourselves. So it is only the animal inspector, which reports to the Board of Health, and the working assessor, who reports to the Board of Assessors, that are not under us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, as long as it's noted somewhere.
Okay.
And we're sure that they're told about this.
Okay.
Rescue is tied to a grade step, even though they're not in a grade step. Doesn't 1717 correlate with something on the grid?
No, it's
No.
not on the grid.
Not at all.
None of
Not on
that
the
is
grid.
on the grid, no, and it doesn't coordinate with the
Okay,
grid.
okay.
It's
Yeah,
separate.
it is what it is.
It is
It's
what
off
it
the grid
is.
because it's off the grid.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay? But that does raise the issue with respect to first responders, EMTs, and so on. Do we intend to increase that by 1.6% as well?
I would say that they all report to either the EMS or the Board of Fire Engineers.
Right, these are the, okay.
So last year, they increased, they separated out from just call fire to have lieutenant,
Right, some of
captain.
these are new, yes. I believe in the past, those have gotten the COLA.
Yes,
Mhm. But nothing else.
No.
Because they're not subject to STEP.
right.
Right. So what do you suggest we do with these?
Well, a COLA and a step is about a 3%.
Mhm.
I was gonna leave it up to whoever they report to. I mean.
Let me see the figure, which one are you looking at?
There you go.
This column here?
This column here.
That has
Okay,
the
first responder.
These I'm
rescue-
suggesting leave
Well,
for individual.
you know, Denny stopped by this afternoon, he left this with me, and he just, because of the raises that were given to the various fire officers up here, his men have been after him, the EMTs, wanting similar, and I don't blame them, and he asked that we consider this for the special town meeting, to bring his equivalent.
So
up
this
to-
is a special, this is an article on the
Right,
special
right,
town meeting.
right.
This is not
Right.
an increase here.
No, but
Okay.
if we look at that, maybe it changes the concern here.
The call EMT is on here.
Call first responder.
Yeah. So he's talking about,
Officers with some of those.
he's talking basically, I think, about,
Just three up top there.
yeah, about having an assistant chief, is that rescue captain?
Yes,
Is the same as fire captain
yeah.
and lieutenant.
Do these
So-
already exist, or is this something?
No,
that-
they exist
Um,
in the
no.
rescue squad.
I don't think they do. I think that because at this point, I think we just have a classification for call EMT at 1717. So what we're talking about is basically creating
New category.
3 new positions.
I would have to say, I think that's more for an annual town meeting.
I should have told him, I was left with the understanding that that structure existed, and
I mean, we did this
Do
at
we
the-
have
let's see what we did on the annual town meeting.
Annual report?
yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't feel strongly about it, but the guys, I assumed these 3 positions were after
Here, I
him for
just wanna
equal
look at
pay,
the
'cause the
rescue
firemen
report.
got it, so he wanted to.
I think
give
that's a
it
pretty
to us.
fair assumption, yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, there's a chief, a deputy chief, well, a treasurer.
This is of fire.
Rescue squad?
Emergency rescue squad.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't doubt that those positions existed.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
I thought that's what you were asking.
No, I was saying that they had not been assigned.
I
They
think he
were
has-
all treated as EMTs, and I was gonna look to see what we did for, in terms of the annual town meeting, if we did anything, and what we did.
He needs to give us
Different.
job descriptions, I believe, for them. Isn't that what fire had to do? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think.
Well, they have job descriptions, and we had to do something.
When is, the,
It would be
the
nice
warrant
if
will be
people.
closed, open next
It'd
Monday
be
also.
open until 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, next Monday night.
Next Monday. It would be nice if people would come in and talk to us as
I
a
know
whole
it.
board when
I'll
they
tell
wanted to
them.
do something
I'll
like this,
ask them,
because
yeah.
fire actually did that.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I do that? Let's, you can be prepared to, so the questions are job descriptions, if they exist. And, all right, let's do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote up whole thing on a wage request here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fire department
Yeah.
last year.
What article is that, Judy?
Well,
the
it's just
budget.
part of his
It was
budget.
both part of the
Budget,
budget, so
okay.
it was done as part of the budget
Yep.
process.
All right.
Yeah, I think, first of all, they did it as part of the budget
Mhm.
process. I
Sure.
think it should be done as part of the annual budget process.
I agree. Yeah.
This would not be as part of the
Mhm.
annual budget process, so we're adding things in the middle.
Sure.
My concern would be we have a number of things on the warrant that we are interested in
I agree with
FinCom
you.
supporting.
Right.
And I don't wanna like piss them off by continually,
Right.
but I would
don't
say
wanna-
we
Well, I
should,
think he needs to write something up
Yeah.
like this and say why.
and we should do it as
Sure.
part of the budget, annual
Okay,
budget process.
I'll pass
Yeah,
that on.
yeah.
Yeah, okay?
Yeah.
I understand the rationale
Yeah.
for it, I think it's a good idea,
Yeah.
but it should be done as part of the annual budget process.
Yep.
Okay?
And I think we did make Bruce submit more for had to put in names. There was something else that got done for fire. I remember we had to go back.
The names actually aren't in there because Bruce has said that you could have more than one of the different positions and that the titles could change.
And there was something else, though, that we had to do for that. I'll think about it. Maybe we can get home by 10.
I'd be in favor of that.
So we need a budget letter.
I think I'm gonna draft
Is that what you're reading?
Yes, I just want to see, yep, while we were,
You should give us all a copy of the budget letter.
Did I not email that? Okay, I can still print it.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the cardinal points, all right? And then we can
Mhm.
look at the text, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think first of all, how do we feel about the 1.6% COLA?
I think we ought to, I think they deserve it.
Well, I was gonna say, I think we've been pretty tight.
Yeah.
Well, now, last week, what did they tell us the increases were? I didn't keep my paperwork, but when the FinCom came in, they said each
Every
half
1/2% of the COLA
Yeah.
adds $5,300 to the budget. And any step raises historically, obviously as people hit the top of their grade, there's some compression, is 13,500 to the budget.
Okay.
So, so basically you're talking about 16 and change, 16.5, whatever, as the cost of a 1.6%. Okay?
Pardon me?
I think, again, what you're talking then about is probably 16 and change.
Mhm.
For the COLA.
For the COLA.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
This was the FinCom's letter. This is the FinCom's letter.
Mhm. Okay. So let's take it piece by piece.
Mhm.
How do we, I would, we can discuss this with a motion on the table. I would accept a motion to recommend a 1.6% COLA be applied to the wages of the town in the next fiscal year.
I would so move.
Second.
Okay. Having said that, is there any further discussion or questions on that point? Okay. Hearing none, I will take a vote. All those in favor of applying a 1.6% COLA as indicated in the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's that piece out of the way. All right. And that,
Sorry, who made that motion? I apologize.
that was Walter making the motion.
Okay. Thanks.
Judy seconded. Okay.
Do we wanna, or you wanna do the money parts? I mean, we have to change number 1 too. That does not count any longer.
What doesn't count?
Well, I don't think we have challenging fiscal
Oh,
circumstances.
so just cross that out, right?
Well, I'd get rid of the whole maintenance of, and number 2, avoidance of that. That's not
Okay.
gonna happen.
So, I'm sorry, so the first one is just maintenance of staff and service levels?
I don't think that
The
Well-
first two.
the first 2,
Well, I mean, it is a point of compensation policies to maintain your staff and service levels.
1 and 2 are the same thing, aren't they? Avoidance of reductions and maintaining this
Yep.
same levels as
Well, I think-
redundancy.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a year when we were like cutting budgets, there was, I think, a point for putting that second
Yeah.
bullet in.
This is verbatim from last year.
yeah.
Right. So I mean, I think if we take out under challenging fiscal circumstances and avoidance of staff reductions, then
Just keep the first
it's
half
okay.
of 1. You wanna keep the first half of the bullet, number 1?
I would suggest so, because I mean,
Oh, yeah, okay.
it's obviously a very broad goal, but it is
Right.
the purpose of a
Yep.
compensation policy. And I think the third bullet is fine.
Mm-hmm. And the 4th.
Yep, okay. Great. And so, and these things that you fit in
So the first bullet.
bold,
number
that
2.
comes out of the FinCom letter, I take it, right?
Yes, I didn't, the pension costs, I don't have that information.
So where'd you get it?
It was in last year's, and I italicized it because that information came from Dennis in January of this year,
Well,
so.
we get it from Worcester County Retirement. They tell you
But
what the assessment's
I
gonna
went to
be.
their website to see if I could even see where that is, and,
They send a letter.
but it came from Dennis in January. This letter has to go up before that, so I don't know how we did that.
Let's take the pension costs and the
Yeah.
health insurance out.
Both of those?
Yep. And just put the COLA.
And leave that
I don't
math?
think we've ever put that COLA in before, have we?
Yes.
Yeah,
That
we
comes
put-
from the FinCom letter. and-
Okay.
So, I'm just saying, do you wanna rely on, not that their math is wrong, but it's the same number they used last year too, so doesn't that change, or?
Mm.
They're just saying historically and about, do you like round numbers like
I
that?
think round is fine.
Okay,
Do you really wanna put in that last piece? Because I'm telling you.
What last piece?
FY16 potential.
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet.
that comes
I
from the
haven't gotten-
FinCom's.
I know it comes from
Yeah.
the FinCom. I'm just saying, you're putting out big numbers and
Mhm.
I actually think we can probably, for purposes of, I would just put in, the, I would put in the first bullet, the second bullet, and maybe put approximately, okay, at before, 5,300, okay?
Okay, that's approximate.
Okay?
You draw
Okay.
pension and health.
They got pension and health. And then I might,
So these last two bullets come from the FinCom letter.
I understand.
Okay.
I was thinking about maybe, you know, more of something like a comment that, the sort of current and prospective, you know, revenues of the town, or would, let's see how we want to work. I think what I want to say is that, you know, there's sort of nothing in the current financial forecast that would, you know, that would suggest that, you know, we need to compensate people less than, you know, these figures, you know, and I'm not trying to figure out how to say it, but my point is that in previous years, we've, you know.
That bottom paragraph is where we've said
Yeah.
that whole thing could come out.
You keep the last paragraph?
Well, no, I mean, because that was starting in 2009. When
Right.
you couldn't tell what was gonna be happening.
Delete that.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to keep that in.
Well, you don't keep the first sentence? Just the
No.
state funding? No, not even.
No, I think we can take that out.
Okay, all of it's out then. So
You
those
can-
last two bullet points, estimated 2.5%, and the,
Yeah.
take those out.
I'm inclined, well, let's talk about them. I'm inclined to sort of take those out and say something like along the lines of these recommendations, you know, rely on current projections, you know, of new growth and, you know, and just go.
Estimated new growth.
Estimated new growth and revenues of the town, which suggests no compelling reason to,
There would be no compelling reason to reconsider these.
to reconsider,
To lower them to.
yeah, you know, in increases in line with, you know, historic policy, something like that. But that's just a general statement like that?
Yeah, I don't think we need this.
Yeah.
So
Those
eliminate
two are
those
out.
two bullets.
Eliminate those two bullets.
These recommendations rely on current projections of estimated new growth and revenues of the town that suggest no compelling reason to reconsider or lower increases in line with historic policies.
Yeah. Yeah, that are in line with historic policies, yes. I think that sounds good. Does that seem,
Yeah.
okay? Or just say established policies, because that is, okay? Is that fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's that.
All right, so for the recommendation, step increases for eligible employees and a 1.6 cost of living adjustment for, what's that called? Personnel
Compensation
spreadsheet?
Yep. For,
Personnel,
yeah, for employees covered by the personnel
Spreadsheet.
spreadsheet. Okay?
So both of those bullet points, just fill in 1.6% for employees covered by the personnel spreadsheet.
And step raises for, yes.
Oh, that's first bullet, yep.
Sorry, what?
under number 3, recommendations.
Yes.
The first bullet is step increases, and
Yep.
the second bullet is 1.6.
Yes, okay, so for those, actually, I think we want that for do we want to suggest that? No, we don't want to suggest that for everybody. And then maybe what we want to say is that the X% cost of living adjustment for COLA for those who are on the spreadsheet. Hourly employees not on the spreadsheet and salaried employees, whether or not subject to contract, should be considered by the appropriate department
By the appointing authority.
or appointing authority.
Sure.
Okay?
COLAs for hourly employees, not.
What hourly employees aren't on the spreadsheet?
The call
Fire, rescue.
firefighters and
Oh,
EMT.
that stuff, yeah.
But again, there, I mean, there's a little complication because they want to give, sometimes they want to give more money for training and,
Right.
so I think we want to,
Yeah.
Are the dispatchers on the police contract?
no, they are on this.
They're on the spreadsheet.
Yes,
Under column police.
yeah. Okay, so you want to read that?
COLAs for hourly employees not on the spreadsheet and salaried employees, parentheses, whether or not subject to contract, close parentheses, should be considered by their appointing authorities.
No, I would put another dot and say salaried, what you just said, not a Boolean and,
Yeah, another bullet point.
another bullet
Oh,
point.
COLA for hourly employees.
You say COLA and any other adjustment for salaried and other employees not on the compensation chart. And then pick up where you left off, okay?
So the second bullet is a 1.6% cost
The third
of
bullet.
living, and then the third one is a COLA and any other adjustments, is that what you're saying?
Yes, a COLA and any other adjustments
Adjustments.
should be to,
Hourly employees.
yeah, hourly and salaried employees not on the personnel chart.
Okay. Whether or not subject to contract
Yeah, whether or not subject to contract.
should be considered by their appointing authorities.
Yes, by
Okay,
their,
got it.
yeah,
Okay.
okay? Department head or appointing
Okay.
authorities as part of the budget process, okay?
Yes.
All right, so that then I think gives us the text of that recommendation letter for next Monday, right?
I hope so.
I can fix it for tonight, but you actually don't sign it.
We don't sign it.
You don't sign it.
Do you want me to just sign it, give it to June with a CC to you all by email?
Yeah.
Why do we need why does it need to be signed
Just so
at
you
all?
can see it, the final version.
I give her the final version, but you don't have to sign it, just
Yeah,
give her a
correct.
copy.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna give it to her.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay?
Yep.
Well, why don't you email it to us first?
Yeah, so we can look at it.
We can look at it,
And then you can send it.
and then you can give it to her. She wants it by when?
November 1st, which is before your
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, then just
I can
email.
fix it tonight before y'all leave the
Just
room.
email it to us.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we have an objection, I mean, we can.
Let me know, and then,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. We'll let you know by,
We voted, we said
Tonight
what it
before I
says.
leave here, and then you can look
That's
at it
great.
overnight.
I will probably look at it in the morning.
I'll stay up to read it tonight.
Yeah,
Okay, Walter.
all
I
right,
guess I did 11:59.
okay.
Walter doesn't like how many emails I send him.
You're down about 50 a day.
Is that all?
I read
Okay.
every one of them.
No, I'm sure you do.
No, they're all informative.
That's it.
You don't mind.
Yay. I'll take it, whatever. That's, I know,
All right.
it's a lot.
Okay. To do what I've normally done is turn the agenda under.
would you like my agenda?
Yeah, it's around here somewhere, but.
I can't find mine, so I can't give it to you.
All right, let's carry on here.
I bet you took it.
7.
7, discussion regarding revision to plumbing and gas permit fee schedule.
This comes from Al, who noted that there isn't a $50 reinspection fee possible on the plumbing, so he's suggesting that.
There isn't one right now.
Correct.
We just have to.
We have to change it
We
to
have to
50.
change it.
And he also changed many of the other fees to bring them up.
Do we have a copy of that?
Okay.
Do you not have?
I'm
a
not
fee?
considering this
Okay.
tonight. We were
I'm
talking
with
about
you.
one change.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm certainly not ready to.
I didn't ask him to give it all, but that's.
Okay.
Do you not, you don't wanna do the reinspection at this point? You wanna hold the
No,
whole
I mean,
thing?
I'm not, you know?
If he wants to change more than that, he needs to.
He needs to come in, he needs
give
to
us
talk
a
to
list
us
of the
and talk
old
to us why.
ones, the new
Right.
ones, and tell us
Yeah.
why
We
they
we were
need.
talking about one change.
I mean, I would vote to change the reinspection fee to 50, and that
I'm-
would be it.
Well, then you have multiple versions of it, it's
Yeah.
stapled to the application package that someone picks
Yeah.
up.
Okay? All right.
You wanna hold on all of it then for now?
For the plumbing and gas, I'm gonna hold on all of it,
Okay.
because if we're changing the whole fee schedule, you know, I don't wanna look at it for the
You're
first
right,
time
Tom.
at 9:30
Yeah.
at night,
Hmm.
and not have anybody here to tell me why we're moving them up.
So Mary, you have to tell them to schedule a time for them to come in.
Okay, will do.
Okay, discussion of regarding primary and alternate inspector policy.
Thought
This
we
is what,
did
the
this last-
fourth time we've done this?
Well, I thought you were gonna say something else with the F word, but, I didn't.
A fourth is what I said.
I know.
But if, I'm
Well,
not,
believe
I'm
me,
not,
I can't
I
say much
believe
time
we
I've
have
spent.
set this.
Yeah, the accountant says that she needs something in writing. Now,
Okay.
when we left last week, Tom, you and I were gonna work on a policy because
Yeah.
you wanted to have a written policy. June took the Hubbardston policy that I sent to you, that Larry provided, just as something to work from a time, like
Okay,
a
then
framework.
we can do that, but we haven't done it.
No, you and I have not, that's
No.
correct. June, I also gave it to her just for her input.
Mhm.
She drafted what I emailed to everybody today.
Yeah,
But that's fine, there's
we're
no.
gonna pass that one over too. I mean, you
The only-
know, stuff cannot come to us at 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon and go on the agenda. Unless you contact me as chairman and ask me to put it on. This, you know, this stuff pops up, we can't possibly be expected, so let's just get it, not put it on the agenda. Stuff that gets sent by email at 4:30, 5 o'clock, when I'm on the train to Boston, it pops up on the agenda, it just, we can't deal with it.
No, I understand, Tom, last week at the meeting, you said that we would work on it together.
But we didn't.
So I put it on Thursday's agenda thinking it would be done over the weekend, if you had a
Yeah.
draft. Then I could
Yeah.
have taken it off.
So, okay, anyway, we're passing it over.
Skip that,
Do
I'm
you
the
want
only one
that-
who sent any goals out.
Well, just so that we don't get raged next week, do you want it on next week, or do you want me to
He
hold it?
won't be here next week.
Ah,
I don't,
mostly. Maybe.
yeah, I will know tomorrow, by the end of the day, whether I will be here next week or
and you have a
not.
kind of, we have a busy, the officers.
No, I
meeting.
think we probably need to put it off for a couple of weeks.
That's fine.
Yep.
And so, just so you know, the accountant says that absent something in writing, she's gonna continue to not pay that. I'm sure he's not starving for it, but
What about that email you forwarded us, something that Peggy had written up?
correct.
Did that
Well,
alter our
I
thinking?
I
at all?
didn't understand, reading what Peggy wrote, what was any different than what we said last
Yeah,
week.
Right.
I thought it was the same
That to me
thing.
was the exact same thing that we said.
And I got that this afternoon too,
Yeah,
so,
Well,
so,
it came over the weekend, so.
Yeah.
I just.
no, as I say,
I understand.
yeah.
why don't you put it on the 11:10,
Okay. Done.
right?
Yeah.
Because you'll be here.
I will be here.
And that gives us 2 weeks.
Yep,
And I think if we just look at what Peggy wrote up, that to me sounded like,
that's what we had said, but anyway, okay.
so I was the only goal setter.
Mhm.
Yay,
Oh,
me.
no.
I didn't realize we were putting them in writing, I just thought we were prepared to discuss them.
Well, we can discuss that on 11:10 too.
That's fine. Guess it's getting kind of late here. All right, and we do still have to do the agenda items for the November 3rd town officer meeting, and then the special town meeting.
Do you wanna hold on 10?
Give me Denny's notes and I'll remember to talk to him. tell him
There you go.
to come in.
What?
Number 10? the contract with MRI? Do you wanna hold on that, or? They forwarded in case you wanted. I asked for it, so they didn't send it unsolicited.
I haven't read it.
Okay. I forwarded it to Walter tonight because you just said he wanted another opportunity to read it. You want me to resend it to everybody tonight?
Yeah, why don't you do that, because
Okay.
I wanna read it over
Yep.
before, maybe, okay?
Yes.
Because it's a.
Yeah.
it's a
Well, if
large
you're gonna
contract.
be here, you should review this with her. If you're not gonna be here, then Walter or I should review it. Right?
Well, I mean, we only have tonight to review it.
I mean, I can come in and review it.
Oh,
We were
Sure.
talking about the agenda for the town offices meeting?
Yeah.
if you guys want to review that, that's fine. So should we do the special town meeting warrant? Because that stuff, I think we do need to make sure we get through.
Well, yeah, we close it next week, right?
Right, but I think the point is that
During
if
the
we.
officers meeting. During the officers, 15 minutes into the officers meeting, it just so happens to be.
Yeah, it is, yes, that's fine. Okay. Well, we have Article 1, which was the citizens petition.
And we accept it.
Mm-hmm. And Article 2, see if we can vote the
We
sum
agreed on
of-
that.
And the sum is, we were going from 24 to 36 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it,
He's working with June tomorrow to get that number. She had a half
Okay.
day today.
okay, that's fine. So we'll get that number from June, okay? All right,
1216 says 80%, right?
hmm. Well, we're moving from 24 to 36.
Right.
I-
So it's 20%
Call me simple-minded, but I thought that you would just take his wage number and multiply it by 1.5.
He's checking to make sure that the retroactive wage backwards to July 1 works, as well as that, and so he wants to make sure that the number is correct.
Okay, so if he failed to budget for the retroactive, he wants to add that amount in right now.
I suppose so.
Yeah, okay. That's, all right, that explains it, because I'm like,
No, it's not.
what's the problem here? We're going from 24 to 36.
Well, it would also be taking effect December 9th, so he wants to make sure that warrant-wise and everything, he's getting it right, but not too much.
I thought it was November 9th. Is it December now?
Well, it would be retroactive to the date, right, that he actually started 36 hours a week. Whether he's putting in time sheets for that yet, I don't know. Julie's handling that now.
I had spoken to June.
Yes.
And said to her that obviously we recognize that if we started to pay him the additional hours between November 9th and December 8th, and in fact the amounts weren't voted, that we were creating a problem for ourselves and we would have to underpay or reduce hours later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it. I mean, and if we were willing to take on that risk, there really wasn't a problem with paying him.
Mm-hmm.
So we can decide what we want to do with that. Okay, but now I understand why that figure's taking a little longer. All right, and then we have the article to authorize us to purchase the 58 South Street. I did see, again, a bunch of late emails about whether,
Nothing's happened.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
nothing new.
there was,
Now, I
wasn't there some discussion about what part of the parcel that was?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Diane actually confirmed that before the meeting.
Okay, so there was no issue there?
No, there's no issue.
Okay.
All right, so I have a question on this. It's gonna cost, this is an approximation, $15,000 to take down the building, which should be done immediately. Should we put that in this? Because otherwise I don't know where the money would come from.
That's what I said last week.
And matters related there too is the tucked in language, but so you wanna up that by 15,000?
Yep.
Specifically for,
Does it matters related to there to cover that, or does it, you want it to be very specific and say,
To acquire, purchase, and demolish.
yeah, you wanna do that?
Hang on.
together with any structures and
Vote
improvements
to
thereon.
authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by purchase. Okay. All enforcement.
This is the West Street, town barn land language just ripped off, and
Yeah, no, I understand, and I'm just,
thanks for
see.
Peggy giving me that.
Yep.
heads up.
Identified on the assessment. Okay, so, after determine at the beginning of the 1, 2, 3, third line from the bottom,
Yes, after determine.
yep.
There's 2 determinants.
Oh, yeah, determine and further to determine. First determine?
No, yeah, the determine is right at the beginning of the line.
Yep.
You should say, the cost of demolition and the cost of demolition of existing structures, okay?
Yep.
As the selectmen may determine, okay?
Oh, wait, as the selectmen may determine.
See, let's not get to that second determine yet, let's
Yeah.
just, okay?
Do you
So-
want as the selectmen may determine then, because that's not.
Okay,
in there.
hang on. We have on such, the acquisition, on such terms and conditions as we may determine, okay?
Yes.
Okay? And the cost of the demolition of any existing structures as the selectmen may determine.
Okay.
Because that way, if we decide that we want to leave the garage or, or whatever as we get into it, we have some, all right?
And further too, okay.
Okay, and
Yep.
then further to,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then add 15,000 to the, oh, thank you. Thank you.
I have some with sugar if you'd like.
Oh, I want those with sugar.
No, it's just, I had one of those days where I was talking all day at the office.
I have both honey and
Oh, man.
eucalyptus.
Okay, I'll go, thank you.
It's like, let's make a deal, what's in
Yeah.
the purse?
And then you're gonna increase that to 315, right?
315, yep.
Okay?
Let's hope it doesn't cost any more than that.
That's, where did we get that $15,000?
I don't know, it was being thrown around, we were walking around. I mean, there's gonna be asbestos.
I'll say 330 not to exceed. Can you do that?
No, just leave it at that. And if it's a little extra, we turn it back, right?
We're just talking
No,
about
we're
being
talking
able to
about
have
the
enough money
demolition.
to demolish.
You should be able to have enough money to, $15,000 to get rid of that? I think so.
I don't know,
I don't know. How much does it cost to get rid of asbestos?
Oh, what's the asbestos in the heating ducts?
That's what they were
Probably.
saying, yeah.
What asbestos?
It was built in 1936. What asbestos? You're on television, Walter, say that louder.
Why do we say some not to exceed 325? Okay?
Okay,
Just,
I'm easy.
yeah. Okay?
Yep.
There's no other associated costs.
Not that I'm aware of at this point.
Not at this time.
No, I mean, if there's town council expenses or whatever, we tend to pay those out of the town council, and on the relatively
budget,
simple
yeah.
property closing, it should be okay. And that's the only thing I can think of.
That includes title examination and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the buyer has to give us a decent title.
Or the buyer.
Let's go with 325, because even that title, you can get a title examination and title insurance for relatively.
Decision
So let's go with
made.
325.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. On the next article,
Yep, this is the tablets.
Judy.
So the question is, it's 1,500 a tablet, and you have the building, electrical, and plumbing, gas, And there's also a fire inspector. So if you include the fire inspector, then it would be 6,000. If you don't, it's gonna be 4,500.
Well, what does the Board of Assessors recommend?
Well, I talked to Diane and it's
She
kind
felt
of,
that Bruce was being non-committal about GOTMS, but at the same time, it's already happened that one
when
inspector leaves the site, but the others,
the point of getting this whole thing was that they could all communicate and have all the information on one thing. So, in that theory, then the fire inspector should be getting a tablet.
Okay, so that figure would then be 6,000,
Yep.
okay?
But you said, and June inquired with Bruce about this and didn't get an answer? Is that
Diane.
what I heard you say? Oh, Diane did.
Well, there was an answer in that he signs off on it, and then he could use it to sign off. That's the answer that I saw.
Okay.
All right, we can go with 6 on that.
not to exceed.
Okay. And then fire engineers are going to give us some fiscal year 14 invoices.
These are invoices that there's a dispute between the fire chief and the data systems, who would be paying for it. It was having
Pam-
Briley come in and look at the PAMET system.
All
So
right.
they're last year's FY14, so
That's just,
we need to get the wording and
Okay.
the number.
Okay. And then the construction drawing one we talked about last week. Yep. Wow, this is like an annual town
I
meeting.
know. So this one Carl just came in.
Yep, I have those edits, I just didn't.
Yeah,
put
and
them
we
in.
have a few little changes on that one. That one's fine.
Yeah, this was just an
That's another prior fiscal year
Mhm.
correction.
2
Okay.
years ago.
And then closing out.
For June.
So I need to ask June, she can close out that green community one of $78,000. Because,
Keith wants to lay hands on that in the
yes,
next.
but you still have to close it out to have the money. You can't use it for anything else.
Yeah. The library water issue, was that about water supply or water in
Leaks.
leaks?
Whatever it was, for every single one of these, she went to those department heads and she provided sign off for every single one of them saying, turn it back.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
Yeah, she asked them like you should.
I just wanted to be sure it wasn't public water supply type issues as water issues, but rain from the sky issues, okay.
So add that 78,863.
Tell her to put that article, the green communities,
From last
public
annual town
safety.
meeting.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
that can get closed out.
so that's, all right. Fair enough.
I think she technically needs to sign off on that, but yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. The next one is this is transferring.
So I talked to Keith about this. The furnace is a 1963 furnace that's here in this building, and it's on its last legs. And he would rather get the money at this town meeting and have it available if it kicks the can, or if it doesn't, that he can, when the weather changes and we don't need the furnace anymore, he'll be immediately able to change it. Where if he goes to the annual town meeting, he doesn't get the money till July,
Yeah.
and then by the time.
That's fair enough.
But winters.
But what is Article 28 FY15?
Well,
The
you'd
green
probably
community
save a
one.
lot of money on fuel if you put in a new furnace. That's
Oh,
what
is
I'm
that
was the
what-
thinking
green
about.
community money.
Oh, he wants to transfer the
That's what I
money.
was saying, yeah.
I didn't know it was in the article.
Yeah,
Ah, well, if June says he can do it, that's fine.
I don't know if he vetted that with June.
Well, you should better with June.
I will do that.
Okay, I think if June's okay with that, so basically, but what did Article 28 say?
That was the one that I had for green communities.
Do you have the annual, report?
This is 2013.
No, that's the, but that's the,
Okay.
It was the Green Communities article for $78,000 to put in
it's
the,
Article 28.
to do the work over the public safety.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate some 70 for energy efficient building envelope repairs in the public safety building. Okay?
And we got the grant, so we don't need that money.
Okay. So now we're transferring it. Okay. That makes sense to me. Okay.
I didn't realize we could transfer, but,
Well, I think you can by town meeting vote.
okay.
All right. But we should ask about that because the other approach would be, and we need to
Go
sort this
back
out, would be to close it out
Mhm.
and then vote it as a new appropriation. That would be, and I don't know which way is the right way to do that. Yeah. Okay? So we need
Yes.
to check that. Because that would be the other way to do it. All right.
The next one is the pawn shop bylaw that happened at Springtown meeting. The Attorney General just wanted to make the dates sync up with state law.
Oh, okay.
So that's just
Okay,
changing January 1 to May 1.
okay.
The next one is the bylaws that town council's working on with Eloise.
Okay.
That may not make special, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, and if they don't?
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know if the next one is actually needed now. I thought maybe Bill Anderson would talk to it. That could be annual as well. He wants to change the amount of the revolving account for cable access, double it from 10,000 maximum per year to 20. for
We're in the
fiscal-
senior work-off. Am I wrong here?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm working from this over.
Yeah.
It is senior work.
I'm not sure what's changed in this bylaw.
You have to put in the maximum amount. It's the same language, it just states now the maximum amount is 10,000 per program. 20,000 total between the two programs. State law requires that change, says Diane.
But we're not paying by the federal hourly rate, we're paying by the state hourly rate.
That was her language, I didn't draft it, but.
And the federal hourly rate is much lower.
Yeah. Well, do you want
Well, I can go talk to her about it. I just saw her.
adding the maximum under, yeah. It should
I
be the
just-
state, it should be Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think it should be the state hourly rate.
Massachusetts minimum wage. is all-
That's part of the law, Massachusetts minimum hourly wage.
Yeah, she might have just mistyped that.
Yeah, so let's do state. Yep.
I thought this is in the law.
Yep.
If you read the chapter 59, section whatever, it,
Well, that language might not be needed, but she says that the, amount per person needs to be, the cap per person needs to be stated explicitly. I don't know why she doesn't, I thought she was saying too that the 10,000 amount per program needed to be explicitly stated in
there
here.
is
So
no
doesn't-
10,000 per
Mm.
program. It's,
No?
I don't know where you got that number, no. I mean, the town can make it 75,000.
Oh, the town can make it whatever it wants, but I
Yeah.
think she was saying that it needed to be stated, but maybe I misunderstood what she was saying.
But we're not gonna say in here what it's gonna be, because it's gonna vary from year to year. We
How
could,
many seniors you take on at $1,000 each could vary?
from fiscal year to fiscal year, yes.
Oh, I thought you have a program cap.
No. The town itself, the selectmen decide that, all right, this year we'll put $10,000 into
I
it.
see,
Or
okay.
next year it could be,
Mm-hmm.
$4,000.
Oh, okay, so you don't put it in the article that enables that, okay.
You put it
You
in
can
the
change.
budget, basically, right?
I see.
It's a
Yeah,
budget
it goes
item.
in, well, it doesn't even go in the budget. It's part of Diane's, what's the?
Yes.
Assessors,
Oh,
what's?
the setting of the tax rate and,
Recap?
What, she keeps
Re-
money in that account to pay back taxes. It's called the, where's the
it's
town
covered in
bulletin?
the,
Town bulletin, town report?
Yeah, it's called the,
recap.
no.
No,
that's
no,
what-
it's not.
It's in the front of this.
Yeah. All right.
Boy, it's It's tough getting old.
And-
Other than that, is it
And then the last one here?
revolving, yeah, that was the one, I'm sorry, that was the one that I thought.
Overlay,
Yes.
the assessor,
Thank
so
you.
it goes in the assessor's overlay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the last one maybe is for annual and not for now. He asked, Bill Anderson asked June what it would take to increase the amount of the cable access revolving account. She said it would take FinCom and Selectmen approval, and also to be put on the warrant, but maybe he meant annual and not special. Because that's when that revolving account is usually set and capped, all amongst others.
I feel about this in the same way I feel about,
Plumbing fees. You want some more
No.
information?
no. You want to take a second guess what I'm going to say?
No, I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm looking at the clock, it's sweeping to 10.
Oh, I know, I
Yeah, go ahead.
am as
Sorry.
interested as anybody in getting out of here shortly after 10. I feel this way about, the same way I feel about the adjustment of the fire and EMT, that this is something that should be done as part of the annual budget cycle.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
And again, there's a lot of stuff on here, and I don't want to prevail too much on FinCom's very good nature, you know?
He did not submit this, but he suggested to
Yeah,
June that,
okay.
what do I need to do?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
not put this on, but again, it's fine, I think, to consider during the budget process and put on the annual.
Okay.
Decision made.
Okay. So that's that stuff?
So other than the Briley and the dog bylaw, that's all the language that I have so far.
Mm-hmm, okay. Okay,
I will revise this and send this out to you tonight too, so you can just keep up to date on what the
yep,
latest is.
that's fine.
You did charter?
We did charter, and then there's the review of treasurer's direct deposit notice, which I thought was fine, after all. I mean, the question that I had last week, I think, has been answered at this point, and we know.
Tell him okay to use that. then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we know we can do it by notice.
Oh, you found your agenda.
I did. It mysteriously bubbled to the
Reappeared.
top. All right.
All right.
Okay, anything else to come before the meeting?
I have a Wednesday night meeting with the data systems people.
Oh, good.
And we're starting the senior veterans work-off program. I met with Diane and the treasurer today and Council on Aging, some of the people from Council on Aging. So I think when it gels up a little more, then we'll come in and talk to you guys about specifics, because there are some decisions to be made about it.
Sounds splendid. Okay. Anything else?
On the Reese land and the Benson land, there's nothing that we're waiting on from the Conservation Commission. Those are both cleared in terms of,
Oh, no, they're not cleared. We're
No.
we're thinking about it.
Yep.
There's not,
And we've
plenty
got
of time
time.
to think about it.
And we've got time.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question about I thought that for Sunday 10 a.m. opening, we had to do something at town
No.
meeting.
Now,
that would be if it was a restaurant license, not premises.
all right.
that was a question of bubble up, but then
Okay.
So we're just
bubble off.
passing it on to the
Yep.
ABCC. And that'll be the second package store that's gonna be allowed to open at 10 a.m.
Mhm.
Who's gonna go out? Well, I don't wanna know who's gonna be at the package
I
store
was
at
like a
10
pop before I go to
Sunday,
church.
Sunday morning.
Yes. That's why Walter never comes, because he doesn't go to get a pop before.
Right.
So what is J about Winey Estates condominiums? Mass
Oh,
DEP?
that's Whitney, whoops.
Whitney.
They only gave us, for some reason, the cover letter, but not the statement of deficiencies on their.
That's
septic.
primarily the Board of
Septic?
Health issue.
Yeah.
Septic?
Yeah.
Did we get any updates on poll moves, or was that just the one
That
I
was
saw?
that email,
Okay.
yeah.
They're working on the polls today.
Oh,
Well,
were
it
they?
worked, It worked sending that letter
Yeah,
because.
they're down there hustling around.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Good.
What's the BMS boiler update?
That was fixed. That was an open issue, I guess, and now it's done.
Okay.
So on B, the assessor was saying that Assabet Valley was offering to come in and do some software training for the
Outlook and
people
Excel.
here.
On what software?
Outlook and Excel.
Outlook and Excel.
For what fee, she didn't really know.
I thought she said it was gonna be free, but I could have been just thinking that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Was there any action required by the Christmas in Berlin committee flyer or planning?
No, that's the second to last thing, and no, it was, actually, I just asked them if they would send me what they'd written up
Okay,
there.
so they're not looking for
No, I
guidance
was
or
gonna put up on the
action or
Facebook or the
anything?
town's website,
Okay.
just their call for volunteers and.
Okay. Good. Anything else? I would then entertain a.
Actually, two things, Tolman, I did ask, our prior contact at DEP
Mm-hmm.
if he could jump into this again,
Mm-hmm.
and I was told that he's no longer on this anymore, that's somebody else in Worcester.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, she was gonna contact me today, but she
Let me
wasn't.
ride herd on this one.
Meaning,
And just follow it along and find out exactly, I mean, it's a mess. Maybe if we get it in a condition where we could sell it or use it or something, but it just sits there, it's not moving. And
Leave
find
it
out from
alone.
DEP, maybe we can get, find out what we can do to bring this, get this thing taken care of one way or another.
do continue to establish contact with DEP?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that's what he's saying, and that, I think it's fine with me. If Walter, you wanna be the
Sure.
liaison on that one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Go for it.
And then the Cook property, I'm just checking to see with Maya what it takes to ensure that when there's tenants or people living in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's ask him.
Now, the other thing that Dennis was considering today was whether or not he can invoke the treasurer's right to redeem, because there's $16,000 due, and the people who are living there were interested in paying off the amount due, and asked for that kind of relief.
The people living there are renting,
They're apparently relatives, and they put work into the property.
but do they have title to it?
No, there is an estate.
I'm sorry, what?
So what is the 16,000 they wanna pay off?
The taxes owed to Berlin.
So even though they don't own the property, they wanna pay the taxes off, or
Yes.
work a plan out with them?
Dennis says that he was told by his counsel that he does have the power to enter into an agreement with them to pay off the back taxes and not take title, not the town, not ultimately end up owning the property.
Sorry, what property are we talking
Cook,
about?
not Tolman, we switched off at Tolman, Cook.
Okay, which one is Cook?
I don't know where that
It's
address
on
is.
Colburn Road, it's about an acre
Oh,
and a
okay,
half with
okay.
a house on it, yeah.
Between 58 South and Tolman, and
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah,
now we're
right,
talking
right.
Third, sorry.
Right.
I missed that turn on the road.
Well, do we own it?
So this is a
We
party,
could.
not the owner,
But
who
they're-
wants to redeem.
They
This
claim
is
to be
a
heirs.
renter in the house.
I don't think they're not related, I think that they both claim that they might be heirs, if there's an estate probated.
Okay. But they, I mean, I'd let Dennis be the
Dennis-
judge of that. Now that I understand what we're talking about. Okay.
I moved that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Hey,
I
just-
believe that's a non-debatable motion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.